this is a layer 2 service. Look at here, you know that with all type of Ethernet WAN, we are creating the layer 2 service, not layer 3 service. What does it mean? Look at here. For example, about the E-line, the point-to-point line, when you have a branch LAN 1 connected to the router 1, okay, and we want to connect this LAN 1 with Ethernet WAN. Okay, for example, E-line point-to-point Ethernet WAN to the router 2. Okay, this is router 2, and to the LAN 2, for example. Okay, here we are receiving one layer 2 service from the service provider. Layer 2 service. What does it mean? It means that we have direct this is emulated direct community between the direct connectivity between the router 1 and router 2. Because of that, here we have one range of IP address. For example, 10.0.0/13. This is the point 1. Okay, and this is the point 2. You know that actually between the router 1 and router 2, we don't have one real link. Here maybe we have multiple devices, okay, such as switch, such as routers in the service provider. But the finally the links that emulated for your company is a layer 2 link. Means the two sides of the for example, this link are using the same range of IP address. You can enable one routing protocol, and the router 1 and router 2 can establish the, for example, OSPF neighborship, such as a direct link that maybe we have between router 1 and router 2. Okay, because of that, now we can understand this service also is a layer 2. Router 1 interface, router 2 interface, router 3 and router 4 are all of them are using the same range. Okay, I will talk about them, but for now let me to say, for example, this interface, the router 1 interface and router 2 interface, router 3 and router 4 are using the same range of IP address, and they can establish neighborship with each other. Okay, I will talk about the layer 3 considerations, but until now we have learned about the Metro Ethernet concept. This is the Ethernet WAN. We have three types of Metro Ethernet: E-line, E-LAN, E3. E-line means point-to-point Metro Ethernet. E-LAN means multi-point Metro Ethernet. E3 means point-to-multipoint. I will explain these three types more than this. But we know that we are using the Ethernet physical links. Yes, this is the Ethernet physical links, and in most cases we are using the fiber optic links. And after that, this is a layer 2 service. This means that this is the emulated service that the service provider providing for us, exactly same as assume that here we have one big switch between these four routers. I will talk about that, but only for better understanding, okay, about the Ethernet WAN. Let me to show you one simple picture. Look at here. Assume that we have a logical switch. This is not a physical switch. We have a logical switch between these four sides. Let me to show you. You can better understand the function of this logical switch. Look at here. We have a logical switch. This is a service provider. This customer sites are connecting to each other with this logical switch. And you know that when you are using a switch between the four routers, all of these interfaces are using the same range, and this is a layer 2 service. Actually, we can say with the Metro Ethernet, for example, multi-point or E-LAN, we are creating the for example, this switch. But let me to explain about the different type of the Ethernet WAN a little later. And you know that the concept of point of presence. Point of presence is a place, is a building, is a room that we are connecting to the service providers, and with the link that the service providers can, for example, give us. And after that, we can use that link to connecting to the point of presence. Also, you have learned about the user network interface, or UNI. Now, let me to explain a little more about the different Metro Ethernet types. What is the point-to-point, what is the multi-point, and what is the point-to-multipoint Ethernet WAN. First, I'm going to talk about the point-to-point Ethernet WAN. Look at here. Here we have, for example, four sites, and we want to establish the point-to-point Ethernet WAN between, for example, the different sites with each other. Okay, R1, R2, R3, and R4. Let me to show you. Look at here. In this for example, scenario, we have 4 sites and we want to have connectivity with only the Ethernet WAN point-to-point or the E-LAN service. Okay, how we can establish the point-to-point service when we have 4 sites? Maybe you think that we should use, for example, 4 physical interface or 3 physical interface in each router. For example, 1 physical interface for connecting to router 3, 1 physical interface to router 2, and to router 4. Let me to calculate for you. Assume that we are using the physical link. R1 should connect to R2 physically, and then to R3 physically, and then to R4 physically. Okay, means R1 needs the 3 connection. Also about the R2, okay, R2 should connect to the R1 and to R3 and to R4. And then R3 need to have connectivity to the R1, R2, and also R4. And finally, R4 should connect to the R1, R2, and R3. And if you calculate, you can use this formula for calculating the number of links that you need. N multiply n minus 1, okay, divided to 2. The n is the router number, the site number 4, multiply 3 minus divided by 2, 6. For example, connection we need. And also we need to install 3 links in each router. This is the physical connectivity, but we don't need these physical connectivities. In E-line, you need only 1 link. Okay, assume that this is the headquarter. Let me to show you. This is the headquarter or main office LAN, but here we have branch LAN. Okay, for example, this is one of the branch. Let me to show you branch LAN. Okay, and also we have another branches. This is the next branch, and here we have another branch. Okay, now we want to connect the all of the branches and also the headquarter to each other with the point-to-point links. You need again only 1 link to the service provider, 1 access link to the service provider, not multiple physical link to the service provider. And this is the first benefit. The first benefit is that with 1 access link we can connect to all of the for example sites, but you know that we need multiple virtual connection. Okay, let me to explain it. The detail again I'm going to emphasize that is beyond the scope of CCNA, because you will learn about them in the higher courses in the service provider track of the Cisco certificates. Look at here, we have 1 point-to-point virtual connection from this physical link. Let me to show you. This is logical representation. Look at here, we have 1 physical link, but in this physical link you can establish multiple logical connection. Okay, this is the logical connection to the, for example, router 3, as you can see. Let me to show you. And after that we can establish another logical connection to the for example router 4. Let me to show you. This is the logical connection to router 4, and after that we have another logical connection to the for example router 2. Actually we have only 1 physical connection, but in this physical connection we have multiple logical connection. Maybe you ask me how this is possible. It is so easy. For example, here you can use a .1q tag. This is related to the service provider classes, but let me to explain it a little for you. Here we can use .1q tag. For example, tag 1 or tag 2 is for the customer, the branch 2. If you are sending the traffic with tag 2, actually this traffic should send to the router 2. The service provider can forward it to the router 2, and then when you are attaching the tag 4, the traffic should be sent to the for example these sites, the branch 4. And also when you are attaching the tag 3, the service provider should send this traffic to the for example the branch 3. So easy. It is not a hard process, but you will learn about the configuration of this type of scenarios in the service provider courses. Okay, but let me to say that here we have one physical